What are you saying, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, no.
Yes, yes, yes. What are you saying, ladies and gentlemen? It's Osama and Mohammed from Ways.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, man. The real question is, can you hear the people?
Can you hear me like really clear though?
Yes, I can hear you really clear, bro. But the question you have to answer me is, can you hear the people? The noise.
I'm so confused.
I said I
Uh,
can hear you, fam.
no, I just tried with like the mic setting and
Yeah.
how it's set up right now. Like everything's plugged in, but it's coming from the speakers as far as like your sound, like your voice.
Whatever. Who cares? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, it's coming from the laptop speaker. It's not coming from the mic at all.
Well,
But as
whatever.
long
Who
as you
cares?
hear me speak to the mic, then I guess we're good to go.
I can hear you. We're good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 44. Today we have a special episode, actually. Always. We always come with bangers. Mohammed, take it away, bro.
Thank you for everyone listening to our show. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Every episode, we really appreciate the feedback, love, and support. If you want to listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Anchor, other platforms as well. New episodes every week. And just want to make sure to get better for you guys. And we love and cherish everything you guys do for us. We don't take it for granted. And yeah, obviously, time goes along and we get to adjust accordingly. And so, therefore, the content is a reflection of itself. The first episode, the first thing we're going to talk about today is the Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. post fight. Obviously, everyone's still talking about it. It's actually, first question, Osama, did the event overseeded or did it underperform your expectations?
No, I want to say it overseeded. Hold on. It's actually a two-part question. Tyson's performance overseeded my expectation because as someone at his age, you wouldn't really think it's going to be Tyson, right? Like it's sometimes if you're like a WWE guy, if you're a soccer guy, if you're a basketball guy, you don't want to see that someone you idolize come back and do bad, right? And I guess that's the one thing with like people who idolize Mike Tyson who love him. When he came back, and obviously Tyson is not really from our era. To see him come back and do what he did at 53 years old or 54 years old, man, amazing. Like he overseeded my expectations. And mind you, he said he was high, which is even funnier. But I was telling Muhammad over this on the phone yesterday when we were like chatting about just like life and whatever, and I was like, if that's him high, only imagine what would he have done if he been sober.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
but yeah, that's my. But what about you? Like, because obviously I know you're a bigger boxing. I know you're a boxing fan.
Uh,
A lot of people don't know this. Muhammad, he does boxing though.
oh, I love boxing. It all comes from like, yeah, I love boxing. My dad used to watch all the time as a kid. And the funny thing is, he used to record it on the cassettes, like the events, like like the main like events, like the major fights.
Yeah,
Record it on the cassette because like back then you could record stuff, right? So you record on the cassettes and everything, so you're watching and stuff.
back in
And
the
because
well, technically you can still record. So actually, you don't have to record stuff now.
no, you don't have to.
It's all on Netflix.
It's way more easier now. But yeah, I love boxing. I don't watch as much now because obviously the sport is much different. But still have a love for boxing. As far as the event itself,
Yeah,
that's a good question. Did it over exceed? I think the event itself overseeded my expectations just a little bit. It did. It did over exceed my expectations.
okay.
Reason why, number one, uh, well, we'll talk about the pre-fight after, but the Nate Robison Jake Paul fight, I think that's what pushed over the edge. We'll talk about that after. But as far as the Tyson and Roy Jones fight, the reason why I overexceeded my expectations because like they did what they're supposed to do, and plus everything was smooth. As far as like not even the fight itself, the setup, like the lights and the stage and the ring, how it looks with the lights on top and just the background, like the way they set up the Staples Centers was beautiful. It looked like a freaking concert. It looked like one of those Kanye West concerts, like the Pablo tour. Like
Yeah.
it looked sick. And plus to have like Israel Adesanya, the champion from UFC, and Snoop Dogg in commentary was amazing. Like they were so
Yeah,
smart.
Snoop Dogg. Yeah, honestly,
So
you know,
smart.
honestly, I could say one thing. that first of all, even though they called the fight the draw, even though they called the fight the draw, even though they called the fight a draw, um, it wasn't even close because you can, if you see, Tyson had many more hits on Ray Jones Jr. than he did on Tyson. But I feel if that was like if obviously the fight was a charity event and Tyson said it himself like win or lose or draw, I did it for charity. It's not like he even cared. Like you could tell by his answer he didn't care. And it's funny because in the post interview, if you realize, he asked Ray Jones Jr., "Were you scared?" And then Tyson's like, "What do you mean? Is he scared? I haven't fought in 15 years. This guy, like, he told me he fought 3 years ago.
That's
He's like,
real.
well, right? And he's like, bro, 15 years. Like, first of all, that's actually a good point. 15 years. He had almost 2 decades, mind you. He hasn't fought, and he looked that good. That's just like extreme and insane.
No, it's real. And yeah, like you said, I think obviously those guys, they're 54, 51 years old, so you expect what you expect. But Tyson looked way better than what we expect of him, right? Especially for
Oh yeah,
15 years of him fought, like he looked really good. And the fact that he said he was under the influence, whether you believe him or not, if that is the case, and he fought that well, man, I'm really impressed. Really, really impressed. Roy Jones, I think his performance is kind of lackluster to me. The
yeah,
first half, at least. The second half, like it seemed as if he was so tired from taking beatings from Tyson. He's like, man, like it seemed as if he
yeah.
wanted to give up around like round 4 or 5.
He took a lot of body shots.
But he's like, I think it was like round 3 to 4. But he's like, man, I gave these people, I need to give them a show. I can't do that to myself. So he did start like having more of a better performance towards the end,
Yeah,
and yeah, it was entertaining.
I agree. He got some good hits on. He got a good job, a good hook on Tyson. Like I think overall it was definitely an entertaining fight to watch. I personally do believe that, and it's funny because all the what was I gonna say? The reactions were like, "Oh, Tyson should have won. Tyson should have won." I know me and you spoke about it. They're obviously trying to make they're trying to make a round two, maybe on a bigger event. Obviously, right now it's Corona, so they're hoping they do a bigger event. There's people actually there, and they can actually go towards someone. It's not a charity event no more, so it's not going to affect their record or anything like that. Or actually, it will affect the record. So I'm assuming, but I think Tyson, you could sense that Tyson was trying to go for a knockout. At some of the rounds, like you could tell, like this guy was trying to go to knock Ray Jones Jr. out, right? Because had he done that, had he knocked him out after 15 years, that would have been insane. Because he had 44 knockouts and Ray Jones Jr. had 47, so they're pretty much equal in terms of like knocking people out.
Oh no, it would have been sick. Obviously, like everybody wanted to see a Tyson knockout. We didn't get that, of course. So, like we can't.
Iron Mike Tyson.
But someone had an interesting take. I don't know who it was. Some influencer. He's like, obviously, we knew if you watched boxing, you knew that Tyson would have won. They did the points correct and everything, but clearly, as we believe, they wanted to set up for another fight and probably want to do like a league with like older boxers and stuff, right? And they pulled it off successfully. What the person said was the reason how you like the way you knew that it wanted to be a draw on purpose. Notice in the fight, Tyson or Roy Jones didn't go for each other's heads. It's as if they agreed, like before the fight, hey, like let's go all out, give people a show, but like let's not try to knock each other out or too much headshots. Like, all of Tyson's crucial damages to Roy Jones' body shots. He did not really do any headshots at all. Like his signature.
You're absolutely right.
And I thought that was,
Because
yeah, it wasn't until the person said that I'm like, whoa, that's actually true.
yeah, now that you mentioned that, it's actually pretty. I would agree because there was probably like 95% body shots and then like your occasional headshot. Maybe they both got one, but it wasn't that much. And then again, yeah, because I feel like had they knocked one of each other out, then they won't be around two because they're trying to build around two with bigger, try to get bigger other boxers who are still in shape, still capable of fighting to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I honestly do believe that they're trying to do a round two on a bigger scale, on a bigger event, on a bigger show. But yeah, I kind of do agree with that statement and what you just said. Whoever that influencer was probably right. I feel they had to plan it out because obviously that's probably why he was under the influence. To be honest with you, after he heard that, he's like, if I'm not gonna be knocking no one out, I'm just gonna be calm. It's probably why he did it then, if you think about it.
No, it's weird because think about it. Like he never won. There was barely any headshots between those guys. Like they barely went any. Like there's no striking. There's no strikes or jabs towards the head. It was mostly just body shots, right? So
Yeah.
like, it's kind of weird. And plus, also you knew like they were planning to do more fights in the future, which they pulled off for all of us as far as the fans itself. So I thought it was a pretty cool take.
The build up, this is like a little off topic, but the build up to the fight, like, because they had some people performing. Snoop Dogg, I just want to say, Snoop Dogg's performance, even though it was amazing. Man, I was getting pissed off because I was like, I just want to watch a fight, because I feel like everybody was hoping for a knockout.
No, because I missed the. I didn't join until like right before the fight, so when I tried getting the stream on, I was confused because I just saw Snoop Dogg just rapping and dancing. I'm like, what the hell, Snoop? I guess he's the performer.
Yeah,
I saw Wiz Khalifa trending before. I don't know why. So when I found out, people were like so angry that he's performing right before the Nate Robison fight, right? So
speaking about knockouts, so the fight before Tyson and Ray Jones Jr. was Nate Robison versus Jake Paul. Now, obviously, Jake Paul has had experience with Joe Weller, Deji, KSI's brother, and Gibb, who's another, I guess, YouTuber from Britain. All the British dudes, right? So obviously, he's had experience fighting in boxing.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people in the YouTube community obviously I think Jake Paul, at the end of the day, like, I either love him or hate him because obviously he is a polarizing figure. He knows how to get a reaction out of you. And I guess he's smart at doing so. But I remember I was talking to a few of my friends. I'm like, yo, I actually want Nate Robison to win. I feel a lot of people did, right? Because he's an athletic. He played basketball for how many years? Like 12 years?
Yeah.
12 years, right?
I don't want to be misquoted, but I think so, yeah.
I think I saw something like 12 years, but you can double check. 12 years, and then the fight itself. The build up to the fight was also funny because it's Nate Robinson who called him out.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It wasn't Jake Paul. Sorry, he called him out. And now, before we jump into the fight, obviously everybody knows the result. After the fight, everyone started calling Jake Paul out. And there's certain people that I saw who called him out that can actually really hurt Jake Paul.
Yeah.
There's some hockey players called them out, and hockey players, when they fight, they don't mess around.
Mm-hmm.
They're boxers. But Mohammed, so did you see the Jake Paul versus because I missed it. Did you see the fight versus Nate Robinson and Jake Paul?
No. When it was happening like live, I didn't see it when it was happening live. We were watching like a old movie with my family.
Wow.
But by the time the fight finished, actually no, yeah, when the fight finished, that's when we were setting up the stream for the Tyson fight. And the funny thing is, to be honest, I think we would have watched it. I think we would have caught the knockout for sure had we found a legit link, because it took me like 10 to 20 minutes to find the actual link, like a legit link for the fight. And even when I got the link, it wasn't working. Like, it wasn't consistent at all. So I think if I actually got a link 20 minutes prior, I would have saw the knockout. Because the fight wasn't long, right? He got knocked in the second round, right?
Yeah,
I would have caught it.
I think within a minute, and I think I knocked out the first round.
Yeah, because what happened was, by the time I came on, when I was trying to set up the link, that's when they're just talking about the post fight, and that's when he's just trending like crazy. So easily, if I had the link before, I would have saw it. I easily would have saw it, but I didn't. And Nate Robinson.
So hold on. So it was 3 times. He got knocked out in a minute and 35 seconds.
Second round.
In the second round. So that's funny because when I was kind of similar to you, I was trying to find a link, and I legit signed in while they were doing the post interview with Jake Paul, right? And obviously they're not gonna do no post interview with the loser, but I'm like, man, Jake Paul won. But then as he lost, all the memes started going everywhere.
Of course.
Bro, it's like instantaneously. The way he got knocked out too was so unfortunate because it was the funniest thing. People thought he died. That knockout, pop! Man went on the floor. The first time he got knocked out, I think it was the first round. They were counting, and he's like, "No, I'm good. You could tell he was a little wavy.
Oh yeah.
And then he got knocked out again, and boom.
But like, as we all know in history, when you get knocked out like that, Yeah, you're gonna need a miracle to come back strong, you know?
Yo, I think it was you that sent the meme to the group chat where you're like, all the black historians are looking down on him in
Oh
disgrace.
my God. My brother posted that and I saw that. I was like, man, tears. Felt so bad.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, I felt bad for him, but whatever. At the end of the day, like the best man got to win. And honestly speaking, I, like obviously one of our friends, he's a boxer. Obviously, went to school with our brother, and I was talking to him. He was like, honestly, he's like, he was basically saying at the end of the day, obviously, these guys aren't like, because obviously, he was like, Nate Robinson isn't a boxer. He was basically saying Jake Paul like still has a lot to learn, but obviously, Jake Paul won the fight.
Okay, but the thing is, it's this simple. It's this simple. Now, the thing is, with Nate Robinson, apparently, like, he's known to be a fighter. Like, you've probably seen videos on YouTube of him fighting or whatever. Like, he's known to be a fighter. He can fight on the street as well in different places. Like, he's known to be a fighter, as we all know. Osama, some people are good at fighting in general. But when it comes to
Yeah,
boxing, it's different. It's not just general fighting. Like, it's a sport. It's an art. It's an art form.
no,
So it's
absolutely.
totally different. So, number one, if you're good with hands, just fighting in the streets and all that stuff, whatever, all right, cool. Obviously, you have that. That's on you. No one's gonna mess with you at all, right? No one's gonna take that for granted. But to jump into the boxing ring, you better know. If you're gonna jump into a boxing ring, number one, you never boxed your whole life. You never trained. You don't have the muscle memory. You don't know how to move and all that stuff, whatever. So to do that in only about 4 to 6 months to learn all that is really, really tough. But
Hmm.
the flip side of that is it's not that bad if you're fighting someone else who's never fought, who's not a boxer as well, because it's fair. But when you decide to call out someone who's actually fought multiple times in the amateur division and has actually also done training with pro boxers, and there's reports saying that Jake Paul, even against like pro boxers, actually held his own. It's like, hey man, if you're gonna do that, you better train your ass off so you don't look stupid. Nate Robinson, like, the way he got
Yeah,
knocked out, flat out, he just looked dumb because you called out a guy who
yeah,
actually boxes. Like Jake Paul, muscle memory on point, moving on point. Like
yeah. But
he's a boxer. Like he fights. He knows the art form.
look,
So if you don't know the art form, you
I'm not.
don't jump into a ring with someone that boxes. Regardless of the level.
I'm not gonna discredit Jake Paul. Like I'm not gonna discredit Jake Paul. At the end of the day, like he won three. Like what he's on 3-4-0.
Yeah,
His record, obviously.
2-0 against black guys.
But I
It's tragic. You
sorry.
said 2-0 against black people.
Yeah, he knocked out Deji and he
Yeah.
knocked out um Nate Robinson. But the one
Deji
thing
did a
that
better
intrigued me,
job.
sorry,
Deji.
he did a better job, bro. He actually had more
Yeah, who
hits
would have
on
thought who would
Jake
have thought
Paul.
that Deji would do a better job than Nate Robinson? I would never have guessed it.
And I want to say, so it's kind of weird to me, intrigued because he called out Conor McGregor,
Who?
Jake Paul,
That's smart for money.
for money wise, but I don't think he's going to beat Conor McGregor. First of all, Conor McGregor has years and years of like
Now
fighting
that's a
experience,
fight.
right?
Now that's an entertaining fight. Why? 'Cause
Obviously,
the
because
reason why it's an entertaining fight,
if he,
Jake, he's obviously amateur. He's not like a top tier boxer. But the thing is, Conor
but they're both
McGregor, as
egotistical.
we all know, he's not a boxer either. So it's kind of fair. But obviously, Conor McGregor has the advantage because he's actually like fought as far as combat
Well,
for years. But be
it
fair though.
yeah, he's fought Floyd Mayweather, one of the best boxers, and he's actually had the most hits on Floyd Mayweather, believe it or not, to go down in history. Also, if
But
it's, I think it's gonna be a
I think
boxing
Floyd
match.
allowed those hits just to be like entertaining because
Possibly, who knows? Then again, go back to your point. Who knows what they write in the
yeah,
contract before to make history? Because they want to write
easily
history,
like
right?
if Floyd didn't want Conor to touch him, that would have been the case. And really, like Conor's those hits weren't really hits. It's like flurries. Just, yeah, just like
Yeah, yeah.
flurries. And that's what made him tired
But
too.
I, I can say one thing. Like, if it's obviously it's gonna be a boxing match because if it's a UFC match, Jake Paul has won.
Obviously.
But obviously it's gonna be a boxing match. It will definitely be interesting for two reasons. A, similar to the Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather fight. If Jake Paul beats Conor McGregor has to hide and never show his face again.
No, but the thing is, if Conor McGregor loses, I wouldn't be surprised.
I know, but you have to understand someone at a caliber like Conor McGregor, right? Like for example, had Conor McGregor beat Floyd Mayweather, it's not that big of an L because they're both combat fighters, but it's in different sports. But you're talking to someone who's not looked upon as a
A YouTuber,
I want to say like a
like
full time.
the
And
world's
another
like
again,
most
I'm not discrediting Jake Paul.
controversial YouTuber or most annoying YouTuber. So obviously, yeah, that's why
Yeah,
Connor's
essentially.
never gonna take the fight. That's why he'll never see it, obviously, right? Because he can't take the risk.
But if it happens and Jake Paul wins,
Oh yeah, that'd be crazy. It would
like
legit damage.
it'll be a bigger.
He would damage Connor's
It'll
reputation,
be a
even in the
laughing stock.
UFC. I would say he's never gonna take
Oh
that
my
fight. I
god,
feel
yeah,
like that'll never
people.
happen for those reasons. Like you said.
And then Khabib will never fight him ever
Oh yeah,
again.
so like yeah, so but Nate Robinson, yeah, perfect lesson, man. Like you can't just jump into other sports just because.
Well, then again, this man had no defense. Like he got some good hits, but he was way
No,
too
he
wide
did.
open. I'm like, fam, like you gotta close your arms. You gotta be take it slow and
No,
steady.
yeah,
Like on
he did the mistakes like you're not supposed to do in boxing. Like this is stuff that you should have learned in training camp. As far as having your guards up, not
yeah,
rushing so quick every single time. Like I don't know about you, Osama, but like in boxing, the number one thing is you don't just rush to a person every single time
no,
you can. Why? Because if you rush, number one, without having a plan or combos, guess what? You're coming in full speed. The person, all he has to do is just time it. Boom, clip you, you're done. And guess what? That's what happened twice. So Jake Paul realized, like, hey, this guy, he doesn't know what he's doing. All you have to do is just wait for the perfect time and just catch him. He's done, and that's what happened, right? So it's like that's why it was too
yeah,
easy. I think we said this in the pre-fight because like unless he actually trained to put in the work, you'll know what not to do. Just basic wise. But clearly he didn't learn the basics. He just went with the street
no,
mentality. Like,
and
hey, I'm just gonna fight how to fight in the streets. That doesn't work in the ring. Doesn't matter if it's Big Paul or a 15-year
yeah,
old amateur boxer. The same thing would have happened. Same thing would have
I feel obviously you know this because I guess we've all been in our share for fights. It's really about like obviously when you obviously like when you're a kid it's different when you're fighting because obviously trying to prove a point, but when it's your
happened. Yeah,
job to fight, it has a lot more to do with
of
psychology,
course.
you reading the person. That's why if you see a lot of people like I actually posted something on my story about Mike Tyson. He was like he never saw himself lower than anybody else. He's like, yeah, people can have higher positions, but he's like, man to man, no one could ever match me. Word for word verbatim is what he said. And I kind of agree with that. When you're in a fight, you have to have no single fear of any man. Like when you're fighting that, like he could be 60-0 and you could be 47-0 or whatever the figure is. You have to go in thinking like it's your first fight and it's your debut. Like you gotta think of like that. Like your debut is always on the line because your record means nothing if you're not a good fighter. Think about it. It's not like, for example, I, like Floyd Mayweather's record would not mean nothing had he not been a good fighter. What does his record mean if he's not a good fighter? Like if you only won by unanimous decision all your life, that doesn't mean anything. But I could tell you right now that those fighters right now, psychology, like because going back to your point, they read the fight, they take their time. If you go back to fights, like whether it's UFC, whether Khabib is a big example against Conor McGregor 2 years ago, bro, he read him. Like once he find one big mistake, you're done because you can't go nowhere.
No, it's true. It's true. And I was talking with that about my brother a few days ago. I'm like, hey, after the Tyson fight, I'm like, man, Muhammad Ali is like, if he's not the best at it, obviously he's the one that made it famous as far as using psychology to the max to win. Think about it.
Oh
Like
yeah,
his second, after his prime, when he came back, most of those fights he technically should have lost. Only reason why he won because he used psychology to the max. Like he knew he wasn't the same because why? He lost 5 years of his prime. So obviously, with that,
oh yeah,
with losing most of your speed and your quickness and everything, he made up for it with the mental game, right? And the same thing with sports, as we all know,
oh
Jordan,
100%.
Kobe, like that's what made them so great in their second half of their careers. They didn't have the youthful quickness and agility and all that stuff. It was the mental psychology. Hey, I
Dude,
know the game inside and out. I'm going to use that for advantage. Even though
of
I'm
course.
slower, not as quick, it
And
shows,
that
right? So
and those names specifically that you just mentioned, Jordan, Kobe, and Muhammad Ali, um, mentally you
no,
could not drain them. Like they were always focused. They were always focused on the end goal. Like here's the best example. Like When what's his face, when Michael Jordan had the flu game, right? And it was a
Yeah.
do or die situation. Like he still played the fourth quarter. They were saying like we don't know how he found a way to win. No, that's what you call mental focus. Is like when you're able to get out of this
Yeah.
lazy attitude and dedicate yourself to a goal. Mike Tyson, similar thing. Mike Tyson's one of the most fierce fighters. If you want to think about it too, Muhammad Ali, I would say, is the one of the fathers of psychology when it comes to fighting. A lot of people now in fighting, whether it's professional wrestling, whether it's UFC, whether it's boxing, they use Muhammad Ali's tactics. Oh, in this round, I'm gonna do this to you, or I'm gonna do this to you. They're using Muhammad Ali's tactics, but now obviously in a much more I want to say social media trend, much more of a stronger and like stronger, like more like
Yeah, of
ways,
course. Yeah,
more
different
creative
times.
ways you
Yeah,
could say.
more.
Different times, like
Yeah.
there's different ways of doing stuff, and obviously Jake Paul's utilizing that with psychology. Like now with social, because he's obviously part of it. He's obviously from our era. Like for him to go on social media to call these guys out, of course they're not gonna deny, because first of all, is involved, and two, the amount of viewership that they bring from YouTube is already insane. Some people who are obviously their fans don't know who these guys are, which is
Hmm.
kind of sad if you think about it. Like, dude, I was at when I was traveling to see my like this at work. I was traveling. One person was like, "Yo, I don't know who Mike Tyson is." I'm like, "Are
Someone
you
said that?
what?" I heard one person say that. Yeah, I heard one person say that. I'm like, "Yo, what do you mean you don't
Keep
know
it
who
to
Mike Tyson
yourself.
is?" Like, yeah, keep that stuff to yourself. You want to get jumped.
That's crazy.
But honestly, dude, like mentally, and that's what if you think about it, you know, I feel with anything people put their mindset to, you have to always be mentally ready for the worst and for the best. What I mean by that is like not talking about losing or winning, talking about you have to go and be driven, focused. Like you might get knocked out and still win the game. Like you might get knocked out and get back up. You gotta be focused. You gotta understand your person. You
Of
gotta know his
course.
next move
No.
before he
Yeah.
before he pulls it on you. And that's what a lot of these fighters are
Yeah.
are so
Like
smart.
Floyd Mayweather. Only time he got like knocked down during a ring in his career was against Sugar Shane Mosley, right? And Sugar Shane Mosley was a tough fighter, man.
Mm-hmm.
So agile, quick, pound for pound with the best hitters, and he knocked Floyd, got him clean, got him. Floyd could have been like, "Oh crap, he got me," and just I'm done. Like I have to find another way now against this guy. I don't want to be embarrassed and everything. Like this is the first time I got knocked in my career. Or you stick to your game plan. Hey, I'm Floyd Mayweather. This is what I do. I break people down in the ring as far as their fighting styles. This guy knocked me. Okay, he caught me off. Who cares? I've been knocked in my whole career. I bet you what. He's not gonna touch me again for the rest of this fight. And that's what happened. Adjust accordingly and do. And
Oh
that
yeah,
flies in life, man.
and in this to add on to your point, a lot of people don't become successful or don't do what they want to do because mentally they're not strong. Mentally, they're not able to hold the BS of the people them talking. Mentally, they're not able to face struggles. And people have to stop worrying about people's opinions and just worry about themselves. And this is a valuable lesson from these fights, like whether Jake Paul winning and then Mike, obviously the Mike Tyson and all these other greats you just mentioned, Muhammad Ali, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. Mentally, you cannot distract them. There's a reason why Jordan has six. There's a reason why Kobe has five. There's a reason why Muhammad Ali is a three-time heavyweight champion, right? There's a reason why these guys are like that because had Muhammad Ali not went to jail, I don't think he would have lost the title, personally speaking.
Oh yeah, I talked about that with my
Because he
brother
had
as well. Uh, yeah, it's debatable. It's debatable. I don't like because I think it's Muhammad Ali. His generation is
is
obviously arguably the best generation of boxers. So like, if he never went to jail, he would still have that's the thing. Is what if he would still have the quickness? He'd still be amazing and everything. But those guys, Foreman, Frazier, and those guys, like, he would have fought them earlier.
yeah, Sonny Liston,
Oh yeah,
like Sonny
it's tough.
Liston, all those
Like
guys,
obviously
like
we think that just like Jordan, if Jordan never retired the 2 years, would Jordan have won those two championships against the Rockets? And it's like, yeah, I'm like you think you're because they're perfect as far as a record. So yeah, maybe, but in reality, you never know. So what if?
you really
What
don't
if?
know. Who knows? Like obviously things happen for a reason, but I just feel mentally, whether you want to, whether you want to be an influencer, a motivational speaker, a teacher, like like, or whatever it is, be like at the highest level. That's why, like, even for example, like someone like Drake, right? People think like he just makes no. He's mentally driven because he knows these new artists that are
Of
coming up are
course,
trying to take his position. He mentally prepares himself for always to win. And there's times where people might beat him for the single of the year or the song or like more streams, but that's not going to demotivate him. But I guarantee when Drake drops an album, which obviously he will next year, he's going to destroy and get what he wants. And I feel that to everyone listening, my final point would be always keep yourself disciplined and driven.
I agree. And I guess, yeah, like you said, disciplined and driven. And if you don't have it and you want to learn, either like Osama, we talked about in past episodes, look at people who do have it throughout history, or someone that you know, someone that's disciplined, driven, and no matter what the obstacles are and how extreme the situation is, the person is still neutral and balanced, whether right, good, or bad. If you know people like that, hey man, you don't have to be their best friend, but you better ask questions or study them as far as using those skills to help yourself and what you need to go through in life, right? Because the better that we are, the
Yeah,
better that life will be, obviously, right? And the tougher that life is,
and
the
yeah,
more stable
and
you are as far as dealing with what's happening with you at the moment. So you just gotta be balanced.
hey man, and that's why it's kind of yeah, and I agree. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this ends episode 44. Uh, I think we'll probably drop this episode either today or it'll be dropping on Wednesday, which will be tomorrow. So if you listen to this either way, it's gonna be
Of
dropping
course.
early because it would make no sense to drop it next week. But either way, um, I hope you guys like this episode.
Thank you so much for
Mohammed, and
listening to our
brother.
show. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you want to listen to us, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Read Republic, Anchor, other platforms as well. I didn't say this in the beginning of the episode. Make sure to follow us at Waste 2.0. That's our page on Instagram at Waste 2.0. Osama's personal page is Kusa300. My page is Mohammed.global. Hit us up when it comes to the show. Hit us up if you got any questions or feedbacks or concerns. Hit us up if you want us to talk about something and you don't feel comfortable appearing on the show as yourself. We could talk about that. No problem. Whether you want to use your name or just be anonymous. Very free as far as the medium, free, social, interactive, and we take nothing for granted. Thank you guys so much. And Osama, take care. Peace.